my body was starting to feel normal again. And I started to kind of get this feeling of, wow, this is what life is. I had a different feeling. I can't put it into words. That's part of it. The other thing was when the doctor told me what he told me, that I was going to either be dead or I could quit drinking. And the last part of it, and these are in no particular order, what helped me more than anything was my wife and my family standing by my side through the whole process. Because that's a whole nother conversation, you know, living with and being married and having a father who and a son who battles alcoholism. You know, it affects the whole family. But my wife, steadfastly, love her to death. She's probably critiquing me right now. So, but that helped me probably the most is knowing that I had a support system. Kind of goes into the question before this, because it's tough. It's tough.
Sure. Family support is very important. Thank you for that. Next question. How would you recommend approaching someone who you know has a drinking problem?
Yeah, I get asked that a lot. And, you know, I put myself in that situation. It's like I was saying, if somebody would have came to me and said, hey, and they had in the past, you drink too much, maybe not, hey, you're an alcoholic. You might want to tone it down. From my experience, and from what I would have done, if somebody would approach me, I would have skirted, right? I would have justified my alcoholism. And it sounds elementary, right? It sounds real elementary, but I've said it. I'm not an alcoholic. I come to work every day. I do a good job. I don't smell like alcohol when I come to work, even though I'm sure I did many times, right? I don't have bills that are unpaid. I don't have a problem. And it's hard. It's hard because then those are the answers, or those are the conversations I've had with a lot of people that reach out to me. And when we started talking, they get real defensive real quick. Alcoholics are good at that, in my experience. And I know this alcoholic is. All right, that ain't my, whoa. You drink too, right? It's tough. You know, there's no cookie cutter answer to any of this. It's tough. But again, what I'll say is if you push too hard, if it's a loved one, I know it's tougher because if you push too hard, you're going to get nowhere. They got to be willing and they got to be ready, you know, and it's not the best answer. I get it, but that's just how it works from my experience.
Yes, sir. Next question. What we don't know is what we don't know, and we all have a story to tell. What's a good method for someone to open up and tell their story like you did today?
Just do it. You know, like I was saying, I was sitting in rehab and I said, hell, I'm just going to do it. And I've also been asked an interesting question. Would you have done this if you weren't a sergeant major in the position you're in? I'm at the end of my career. I got a year and some change left, right? But even then, I'm a brigade sergeant major. So what's next, right? Let's be honest. Would you have done it if you were a sergeant first class platoon sergeant? And you know, sadly, my answer, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. And that's the stigma that still exists. Because if I would have done that as a platoon sergeant, came out and said, hey, X, Y, and Z, would I have gotten to where I was at or I'm at today? I don't know. Something to think about, right? But just do it. Because, look, at the end of the day, you got, everyone's in a unique situation. Everyone's story is different. That's the beauty of all this. Now, you gotta be ready. It's kind of like becoming a politician.